So what happened to the station wagon? Stick around and I'll tell you. So if you don't remember, I bought this 1984 Oldsmobile Custom Cruiser for $400 a few months ago, back in the summertime, and unfortunately I did end up selling it. Now the reason being is, whenever the car was together, I was having a great time with it. It ran, it drove, and everything was fine. You know, we drained the gas tank, put some Marvel Mystery Oil in it, we ran clean gas through it, pumped it out, and all I could see was clear gas coming out the other side, so I thought that the gas tank was fine. Got 7 gallons worth of 93. Gonna fill it up. We emptied out the what was in the tank and then ran some 87 in it to clear it out, and it actually started pumping clear gas. So we're gonna see if it'll start and run. Noisy. I need some Freon in it. Let me show you again, it actually covered me. You can hear that. Junk's flying out of it. It kicked on. We are actually officially driving. It needs spark plugs, so it's got a little bit of a miss, but we are on the road. Look at that. High beams work. This is pretty cool. $400 right here, all in this station wagon. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and what ended up happening was the car just started to run rough one day. I noticed some lifter clatter, didn't really know what it was. It would come and go, and then one day it just wouldn't start. So I didn't know what happened, and I messed with it, and I pulled the distributor cap, and you can see right here, I thought that maybe I was losing spark, or maybe the rotor just completely broke, but we'll see what happens. So at this point, I was a little bit dumbfounded. I couldn't figure out what the deal was, and it turns out that I was bending push rods. So in my investigation, I determined that this section right here was the one that was making the noise. I could definitely feel it making noise whenever the valve cover was still on. So this is the first one I checked. And all the other ones are tight, but check this out. See how tight that's supposed to be? We got a problem there. So let's take this off and see what we got. see any damage to the rockers itself. Let's pull the push rods. This right here is the first push rod. As you can see, that's not how it's supposed to be shaped. And they're obviously broken and bent, but I went ahead and bought about 5 or 6 in a pack and I just replaced that one. I thought, well, okay, that's fine. Put the valve cover back on and ran it for a little bit, and what do you know? It bends another one. There's bent push rod number 2. Good news is it all came out in one piece, so we're not worried about that. But the bad news is, for some reason the valves keep sticking. I don't know why. This is the second one that's bent. The one that I replaced is fine. I mean, it works perfectly fine now. So I guess we'll try and unstick this one, put the push rod in it, and see if it fixes it. So then I replaced that one, put the valve cover back on, and thankfully these were both on the driver's side, which is the easy side to get to. But then it bent another one. So I pulled the valve cover off of the passenger side, and lo and behold, there's another bent push rod. I fixed that one, put it all back together, and it runs fine. So at this point I'm like, what is going on? Why is this thing causing so much trouble, and why is it always doing this? And I realized that, well, maybe the gas is actually gumming up all the valves and making them stick. So I unhooked the fuel line, ran it to a regular jug with fresh gas and nothing between it, and it ran fine. That was it. It never been another push rod again, and I ran it and ran it and ran it, but it was fine. So by this point, I was a little bit irritated with this car. I was really having trouble being motivated to work on it, and it just wasn't really the kind of car that I really felt like spending a lot of time on, because I was really getting into the point where I'm spending more money than the car is actually worth, to me at least. So I shelved it, I put it to the back and just parked it for a few months. Really didn't work on it, but every now and then here and there. I bought brake pads for it. Someone even sent me a tail light in for it. So everything, I was going to get the car running and driving. We had big plans for it. I even considered taking it on Power Tour last year. But all that happened before then, and I just didn't want to do it. And when you're working on a mid-80s Oldsmobile and you see a 69 Charger sitting next to it that you could be working on, that's yours also, it's really hard to find motivation to work on it. So I shelved it, like I said, and it got to the point where it was just taking up space and I really didn't need it anymore. And you got to realize at some point there's such thing as too many projects. And I know I'm still at that point, but that Oldsmobile just had to go. It went to a home where someone is going to care for it, someone who wants to get it back on the road, one of my really close friends. So I will be able to keep up with the car. It's not going far at all. I just wanted to give you guys an update because I've been promising one for a while. But the main moral of the story is that it kept bending push rods. It was running rough. It needed a gas tank. And I just didn't want to mess with it. All the vacuum lines deteriorated on it. Things were breaking left and right because it was so old. It had about 200,000 miles on it. So it'd been through a lot of heat cycles. And those mid-80s cars, everything's vacuum operated, and there was just lines everywhere, hoses all over the place, and the more I messed with it, the worse it got, honestly, because if you even worked on the car a little bit, you'd accidentally break something, or something would just be so brittle whenever you handle it, it just falls apart. So I just had to give up on the car. It was a fun car while it lasted. We had a lot of fun times with it, driving it around. It just wasn't a thing for me. Not that I'm not mad at it because it was an Mopar. I definitely wanted to get the car running, but at the time it just didn't make sense for me. So hope you guys understand, and I hope you enjoyed this little video about it. I just wanted to get you caught up to speed about what the deal is with the Oldsmobile. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment down below. You can also send me an email if you have any questions. Send in your projects to that same email. Order your t-shirts and your stickers, guys, and thank you so much for what you do for me, and I'll see you in the next one.